Hey everyone, welcome back to English Express, the podcast where two friends have real, natural conversations in English so you can listen, repeat, and start sounding more fluent. I'm Lexi.
And I'm Finn. Today we are talking about technology and social media, how it shapes the way we communicate, and how we spend our time, and how we feel about ourselves. We will be using vocabulary that comes up all the time when English speakers talk about the digital world, so pay close attention to those words as we go.
Shadow us as always. First time through, just listen. Second time, pick one of us and repeat what we say right after we say it. Match the rhythm and the natural pace. Okay, Finn, let's start with an honest question. How much time do you think you actually spend on your phone every day?
Too much. Far too much. I checked the screen time report on my phone a few months ago and I was genuinely shocked. It was telling me I was spending close to 4 hours a day on my phone, and a large chunk of that was just scrolling, going through social media feeds with no real purpose, not even looking for anything specific.
That number shocks most people when they first see it, because it does not feel like 4 hours. It feels like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, but it adds up to something significant without you ever making a deliberate choice to spend that much time there.
That is exactly what the platforms are designed to do. The algorithm that decides what you see is built to keep you engaged for as long as possible. It learns what stops your thumb from scrolling, what makes you pause, what makes you react, and it shows you more of that. You are not browsing the internet is browsing you.
That framing always makes me uncomfortable because of how accurate it is. And the thing is, knowing that it is happening does not fully protect you from it. You can understand perfectly well how the algorithm works and still find yourself 40 minutes deep into content you never intended to watch.
The viral nature of content makes it worse. Something goes viral not necessarily because it is true or valuable, but because it provokes a strong emotional reaction. Outrage, shock, amusement. Strong emotions make people engage, and engagement is what the platform rewards. So the content that spreads fastest is often the most extreme.
Which shapes what you believe about the world in ways you do not always notice. If your feed is full of conflict and outrage and bad news, you start to feel like the world is a much more frightening and divided place than it actually is. Your perception of reality gets calibrated to what the algorithm has decided to show you.
That is one of the reasons I started thinking more seriously about privacy, about how much data these platforms collect about me and what they do with it. Every pause, every like, every search, every piece of content you stop on for more than 2 seconds is data that goes into building a profile of you. And that profile is then used to sell you things and keep you on the platform.
It is a trade we all made without fully understanding the terms. The platforms are free to use, which feels like a good deal, but the real currency is your attention and your data. That's the actual product being sold.
Have you ever done a digital detox? Just switched off completely for a period?
I did one for a week last year. I deleted the apps from my phone, not permanently, just temporarily. And I was surprised by 2 things. First, how often I reached for my phone out of pure habit, even when there was nothing to check. My hand just went there automatically. Second, how much better I felt by about day 3. Calmer, more present, less like I was constantly half distracted.
That restlessness when you first remove the apps is very telling. It shows how conditioned we have become to constant stimulation. The moment there is any small gap, waiting for something, sitting quietly, the reflex is immediately to fill it with the phone. And when you remove that option, you realize how rarely you just sit with your own thoughts anymore.
Let's talk about the influencer side of it, because it is a genuinely interesting shift in how we think about trust and recommendation. An influencer is essentially someone who has built an audience on a platform and can shape the opinions and purchasing decisions of that audience. And that used to be the job of journalists and critics, people with institutional backing.
Now it is anyone with enough engagement and the right kind of personality. In some ways, that is democratizing. Someone with real expertise but no institutional platform can build an audience based purely on the quality of what they share. But it also means there is no filter, no editorial standard, no accountability. Anyone can present themselves as an authority on anything.
The engagement metrics, the likes, the follows, the shares, become a kind of proxy for credibility that is not always deserved. Something with a million views is not necessarily true or well-reasoned. It just connected emotionally with a lot of people quickly, and our brains tend to interpret popularity as a signal of quality even when it is not.
I think the relationship most people have with social media is genuinely complicated because it is not all negative. There are real communities formed on these platforms, real support networks, real friendships, real information that people genuinely needed. The question is whether the benefits are worth the costs, and I think that calculation is different for everyone.
For me, the shift that helped most was moving from passive scrolling to more intentional use, following accounts that teach me something or genuinely make me feel good, rather than the ones that just provoke a reaction. Giving myself a time limit, checking deliberately rather than reflexively. It sounds simple, but it made a real difference to how the experience felt.
The phone is not going anywhere. Social media is not going anywhere. Learning to use them on your own terms rather than letting them use you, that is the real skill of this era. Let's do the vocabulary recap. 8 key words from today, slowly with a real example sentence each. Listen, then repeat right after us.
Algorithm. An algorithm is a set of rules a computer follows to make decisions. On social media, it decides what content you see based on your behavior. The algorithm kept showing her content she had not asked for but could not stop watching.
Scroll. To scroll means to move through content on a screen by swiping up or down. He picked up his phone intending to check one thing and ended up scrolling for an hour.
Viral. When something goes viral, it spreads very rapidly across the internet, shared by huge numbers of people in a short time. The video went viral overnight and had been watched 50 million times by the following morning.
Digital detox. A digital detox is a period during which you deliberately stop using digital devices and social media. She did a 1-week digital detox and felt noticeably calmer and more focused by the end of it.
Privacy. Privacy refers to your right to keep personal information from being seen or used by others without your consent. Most people never read the privacy settings of the apps they use and have no idea how much data they are sharing.
Platform. In technology, a platform is a digital service where people create, share, and interact with content. Each platform has its own culture, its own format, and its own type of audience.
Engagement. Engagement refers to the interactions people have with content online, likes, comments, shares, and views. The post had high engagement, but very little of the conversation in the comments was actually useful.
Influencer. An influencer is someone who has built a large following on social media and can shape the opinions or choices of that audience. She became an influencer in the fitness space after consistently sharing her training for 2 years.
8 words used naturally throughout today. Go back and listen again. Notice how each one appeared in context and try to use them the next time technology or social media comes up in a conversation in English.
Thank you for listening to English Out Loud. Share this with someone who is also learning English. We will be back soon with a brand new topic. Until then, keep shadowing and maybe put the phone down for 5 minutes today.
See you next time!